Welcome all participants, our worthy keynote speaker, Dr. Abhilasha Singh. This is a wonderful moment. We have participants in this session from all across the world, I'll say. So I'm confused what to say, morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or very good early morning, or what. But I'll, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome everybody to this wonderful conference and a session one. I think this is track one. We are going to begin, and we'll begin with the keynote address of our seasoned, very experienced, worthy keynote speaker, Dr. Abhilasha Singh. But before I request Dr. Abhilasha to take charge and start taking her session, I would like to introduce Dr. Abhilasha to all the participants. Dr. Abhilasha Singh is an experienced professional with demonstrated history of working in higher education industry. So Dr. Abhilasha started her journey in year 2003. So roughly 20 years she has already spent in education industry and has taken key positions at different institutions. She started her career from School of Management Sciences, Varanasi. And then she served an institution in Saudi Arabia. Then in 2008, she joined the Institute of Management Technology, Dubai. And from there onwards, she joined American University in Emirates. And presently, she is Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Her journey in higher education industry has been excellent and wonderful. She served American University of Emirates in Emirates as a Vice President for Research and Advancement, and General Secretary, Board of Trustees from year 2015 and 16. She is a certified trainer in Balanced Scorecard Professional program. She is a certified practitioner of MBTI, which we use quite a lot in the organizations and in teaching OB classes. She got award for teaching excellence. She has several research grants to her credit. She has a lot of publications to her credit during this time of 20 years. She's passed out of MIT. It's a very, I'm very proud and I'm feeling privileged to welcome you, Dr. Abhilasha, for the session. She's PhD from Banaras Hindu University, and she completed her HRM program from Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta as well. Ma'am, it's really a pleasure, and we are feeling privileged to invite you for a keynote session. And I read the abstract. I'm personally very excited to hear from you because this is talking about glass ceiling, and the last part of your abstract, which attracted me and which is creating curiosity in me, where you have written that women tend to represent more democratic, whereas the men are agentic and autocratic. This is a perceived. This is perceived from a study, and more importantly, what you have highlighted, that it is critical to develop with AI and automation so that no discrimination is there between the genders. So this is really a great moment for us to have you as a keynote speaker for the opening session and the track one of ICTBM 2020. Ma'am, without taking much time, I would like to invite you for the session. Please take charge and start with your presentation, and we welcome you once again for the session, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you. That was a lovely introduction. Thanks a lot. Good morning, everyone. And as Dr. Sharma has mentioned that we are not sure whether we should say good morning or good afternoon or good evening because people have joined from different parts of the world. But we say here in UAE, Salam Alaikum, and I think that will suffice the purpose. So Salam Alaikum, everyone, and a very good morning from Dubai. My sincere thanks to Professor Agrawal for inviting me as a keynote speaker to share my viewpoints on a topic which is very close to my heart, especially being women. And once again, thank you, Dr. Sharma, for chairing this session and for that lovely introduction. One thing which I'm sure all of you will agree that when it comes to women, they are considered to play a very important role in any country's economy. And they're likely to possess equal obligations and rights as compared to men. If we talk about their sincere efforts, they have the ability to transform any society they can bring basically a kind of transformational change, which we talk about within the society, within any organization. However, one thing which bothers me always that they are restricted to achieve success in their professional lives, especially in some specific sectors. And that's what I tried to highlight in the abstract. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Why this happens? There are various factors. I conducted a study, and probably I will just briefly touch upon that study as well. But more likely it is due to the presence of several glass ceiling barriers and the minority factor which is there, which creates a lot of hurdles in their life, and they are not able to achieve their desired goal. Now, without any delay, if you give me a couple of minutes, and I would like to share my screen so that I can take you through the presentation. I'm sure you are able to see. Okay. So that's basically the challenge, and I took the topic specifically women in the era of artificial intelligence, and there is a reason behind picking up this topic, because I somehow feel that this technology sector or artificial intelligence, especially during this crazy time going on, I just feel that the role of artificial intelligence will be more commanding in the coming future, and it is going to affect our lives. It is already affecting our lives. It is going to affect our lives even more. I wanted to show you a brief video, but before that, I am not sure if you have heard about a very interesting theory which talks about visibility and vulnerability spiral, and it was proposed long back by in 2012, if I'm right, by Morley. It is a very popular theory, and it states very interestingly that it was risky to appoint women at managerial position as compared to men, because it seemed that strategically it will be unprofitable with regards to the organizational success. Now, this theory in itself, if you start reading about theory, and then you will find a number of research papers in this regard. So the gendered problems are usually attributed to different behavioral difficulties among the women. And it is related to various aspects. It is related to mentoring, it is related to confrontations, it is related to discrimination, discrimination in the work, discrimination in the family. And we all will agree that the progress of women towards the professional excellence is definitely hindered by several barriers. And these are specific to some sectors that I will be deliberating in the next few slides. I'm sure many of you have watched this video, but let's quickly. Okay, so the short video basically, it's a very popular video. Most of the people have already seen this one, and it's very interesting. But it not only supports the common notion that females are better at multitasking, that has been traditionally perceived as a women's main domain. They are very good in juggling a job and running a household, raising children. They can do multiple jobs. But it also raises an important point, which has been mentioned in Kelly Valent's book. I don't know, and I recommend this if you can take a note and you can read this book. It's very interesting. It's The Twisted Sisterhood. And the book, when 90% of the women surveyed, they felt that they have felt like very mean and negative undercurrents from other women. So this is one of the important points which I would like to highlight. Another thing is, Velen said that there was a distinct undercurrent of meanness and negativity which plagues our gender. So I took this, and when you watch this video and you watch many other things happening around you, you start thinking that what's happening in the society? Is it that under the shield of that women can do multitasking, we are overwhelming them? It's a question to ponder. With this background, let me take you through some of the updates in the UAE. And UAE is a very unique country. And I will show you some of the figures and some of the initiatives which has been taken. I'm sure most of you know UAE is United Arab Emirates, and this is a country which comes in Middle East, in a very important part of the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council. But when it comes to UAE, especially the initiatives which the country has taken is really amazing. People usually talk about that this is a part of the Middle East. It's a very closed society. It comes in Middle East, so women are probably not allowed to work. But these are the two quotations which you can see from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and Her Highness Sheikh Jawahar, which is more and more focused on that how important is the role of women. Let me give you some figures here. Now you can see here that the initiatives taken by the UAE government has definitely, it has positively resulted in the cracks in the glass ceiling. And we are very proud to be here, basically. Although it has been shown that the culture which is prevailing in the Middle East has always adopted the traits that favor males more and neglect the female rights, which was studied back in, I can say 4 or 5 years back. And this is true that usually women are prefer to forego their professional development to fulfill family responsibility and undertake more family, like a spiritual development, to save their married life and to abide by the cultural practices which are there. But the traditional role of a woman in the Islamic culture is more of like homemaker and a mother. And subsequently, you will see that the men and society perceive women in these traditional roles, and they cannot perceive women in leadership positions in the business world. So for them, the place of a woman is at home, not in the outside world. And furthermore, men are holding authoritative positions, which are both at home and in the outside world. So now it makes it extremely difficult for them, for men basically, to take orders from women in organization and in positions of authority and leadership. So it is believed that some of the organizations in the UAE, they embrace basically gendered social constructs for prompting more and more gender-based inequalities within the leadership style. Now you can see very clearly that if you look at, you will be surprised. I don't know whether you are able to read this, but you can see that women are, you will find 10% in the public sector, 50% they are in the UAE in the space program, they are women. There are 2-3 women who are working in the public sector. There are 70% who are, you can see here, they are university graduates. Out of the total percentage, 70% are basically women. 77% of the Emirati women are enrolling in the higher education sector, and 46% of the country's graduates are in STEM education. But more important is the recent mandates which has come, that the women role in the parliament, like more than 50% will be in the parliament as well. So the government is basically, while we know that the culture and tradition, it plays a very important role with regards to the issue of women in leadership roles, because of the environment of UAE is more patriarchal. But the government is taking a lot of initiative, and women are they are representing a lot of different sectors, including some of the sectors which we were not, like in sports they were not there, in higher education leadership sectors they were not there. IT sector is still behind, which I will come later. The study which Dr. Sharma was talking about, basically, I tried to investigate the experiences of women who are working in the managerial position to develop. I just wanted to see what is whether it is a genderedness or degenderedness. And I just took semi-structured interviews, and I wanted to study the leadership experiences of women within the organization, unlike the very positivist frame that makes sense of their association of power structure. And I did a very a thematic analysis for that. And the results showed that the gender of a leader is inconsequential, where men and women are treated equally. Now this line is important, where men and women are treated equally. And this doesn't happen in many of the organizations. They are less paid as compared to men. So the working women at managerial posts have depicted high level of productivity and performance in their work. The career advancement of women requires some kind of commitment and motivation, but this motivation again is lacking from the superior. And all these factors are very significant, as they are likely to possess very significant impact on their ability to respond to the environmental influences which are there. So the study was regarding underrepresentation of women at managerial position and the gender segregation that takes place usually. Taking you further, you can, some of the things which are important, especially in this part of the world, and I was just looking at some factors, some data here. There are 46.6 women in labor force, 66% in public sector, 40% in educational sector, 35% health sector, 20% in social affairs. There are 1,500 police women and 93% in senior position as well. There are 3 female judges here. Very surprisingly, I wish I can show you the videos of how they operate, because some of them are wearing niqab as well. There are 17 prosecutors and many ministers. You can also see that UAE has highest number of women in Forbes, 19 women. So these are, UAE has the first Arab female president to lead the UN board as a representative. So these are some very interesting factors. There is a Dubai Women Establishment, there is a Nama Women Establishment, there is a Gender Balance Counseling, there is International Majlis of Women, which we have actually in our university as well. And there is International Business Women Group as well, which has been established. So these are some of the very interesting factors in this part of the world. Going further, if we look at the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we know that their gender gap which is existing, it needs to be eradicated completely. And in 2020 is still, the recent figure suggests there is 31.4 average gender gap. So which is very surprising. And we keep talking about we need to abolish this gender gap, but it doesn't happen. Let me take you a little further and now come to the main topic, which is artificial intelligence. Now, one of the questions which I would like to ask the participant, I wish it was more a face-to-face delivery, because when you deliver virtually, we are not able to take the questions during the session. But a question which always bothers me, is artificial intelligence feminine in nature? Is feminism and artificial intelligence intervened? It's really something which bothers me. We talk about Alexa, personal assistants. We talk about Cortana. We talk about Siri. Why all feminine name? Why there is no Rahul? Why there is no Sandhir? Why there is no Shiv Prakash Agrawal? I really, sometimes it bothers me. Sophia, Eliza, Alexa, Cortana, Siri. Why all feminine name are there when we talk about female personal assistants? And interestingly, the tech organizations, you name Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, they conquer that we are entering into a future which is commanded by smart machine. So we know that artificial intelligence is very important. They also say that each of, like all state of our lives, each part of our lives will be changed by artificial intelligence and machine learning through innovations, self-driving cars, facial recognition, and with COVID-19 has probably accelerated the pace of change. Especially, we were just talking before the session that the students around the world are getting ready on a tragic reality. We all are facing this. So, should we say that the programmers which are making or creating this, they are assumed by they assume a female presence, or they are obsessed by the female presence, or giving female identity is giving them some kind of control? Does it like evolves around like the man has a, I'm sorry to, I don't know, but I'm sure there will be some women participant and they will echo, I'm not a feminist, I'm not an activist as well, but I'm sure that someone will agree that a typical man problem is to boss around. If your wives are listening, they will be very happy to listen to this one. And I'm sure my husband will be listening this and he will not like at the same time, but this is true that they like this bossism, you know. So why choosing a feminine character? I'm not sure about this. What I feel that AI has a gender problem. Is it the case that if it's mostly men developing the algorithm, then of course the result will be biased? Quite possible, and it can happen. Now, I was just looking at some of the data, and one thing which is very very important, and I would like to, I'm sorry, I would like to go back and I will show you. This is a quote from a professor at Caltech, and she mentioned that the risk artificial intelligence might have if they are going to have a homogeneous growth. So one thing which is sure, that we need to have a diverse team when it comes to artificial intelligence. So if there are not enough women contributing, then with this quote, it is very clear that there will be some kind of cracks, some kind of holes in the artificial intelligence knowledge. And this is why there will be a lot of bias error which will be happening. Now, we don't have the answer, where is the women? If you look at the current data, it's only 12%, right? And I will show you some other data. Interestingly, Google, so there is 21% of the technical roles which are filled by women, as listed in Google. 641 people working on machine intelligence, only 10% women. Facebook, the same. Significant drop you can notice in the proportion of women who are in the past 2-3 decades who are in the computing field. So there is some issues which we can see in the data which is showing. Now, again, the question comes that where is the women? Because if you look at the data, which shows like how many people, women are taking STEM education and how many are likely to leave their career and how many dropouts are there, you will find that the percentage is more high as compared to men. So you can see 53% of the women in tech industries, tech intensive industries, they leave for other industries at higher rates as compared to men. Now, while we are agreeing that AI is a critical driver of economic growth, and it's a brilliant way of improving the decision making, especially when people, they don't have the best reputation due to their conscious and unconscious biases. However, can we guarantee those working in artificial intelligence are more representative of the society in which they work? I don't think so. If you look at these data, it suggests very clearly that this is probably not going to occur. And we are in a grave peril situation of genderedness. And it sounds very unfair. There are some more studies, which is basically, and that's why I mentioned that it's a pertinent question to ponder. Are women in AI unwelcome? Is Silicon Valley gender bias? So 1 year ago, there were, I think in 2019, last year only, there were some analysts at the University of Virginia and Washington, and they indicated 2 huge image collections used in the machine learning research, including one which was supported by Microsoft and Facebook, teaching algorithms, and a skewed view of gender. So pictures of individuals like shopping and washing are, for the most part, connected to women. I mean, this is just an example. So the shortage of women among machine learning analysts is not really astounding. The more extensive field of computer science is all around reported as being ruled by men. And the government figures, which I showed you the figures, which is more related to basically US, it has, you will find that the extent of women granted bachelor degrees in computer in US, it has dropped drastically in recent years. And something which is contrary to the pattern where it is going up in physical and biological sciences. And one thing which is basically, two of the professors in Carnegie Mellon University, they resigned, and it was news all over. And they cited this as a sexist management. So ensuring female data scientists are substantially more obvious, is one of the main things we can do to begin to fix all these. Let's if you give me, Dr. Sandeep, how much time I have? Do I have another 7 minutes?
Yes, ma'am, we can. It's a very interesting talk. We want to continue listening it, ma'am. 7 minutes.
I will show you and take you quickly through some of the interviews, and you will see what people are saying about
some
this
challenges
sector.
in the tech industry. I think it's what's known as death by 1,000 paper cuts. There was one thing or the other, and it always ended up with people wondering why I was a woman, why I was young, and why I was doing my own thing. People sort of assume that I am not technical. It can feel like you are fighting against this believability factor. It hurts, and it sort of puts this doubt in your own mind saying, should I really not be here? If I walk into a room and I say that I'm an engineer, and if I don't look the way that a person is expecting me to look, then I kind of have to prove to them that no, I am an engineer, and I know what I'm talking about. And that's just the assumption. The default is that women of color can't be technical, aren't technical, and as a result we get treated like we are technical. And I begin to question myself, and I know that that is absolutely unacceptable, and it is completely untrue. So there's no denying the fact that there is gender disparity. I will try and qualify that with my own experience. When people ask me what I do, even if the implicit context is that everyone there is an engineer, they would always say, like, what do you do? There's this funny thing that happens when someone goes through that mental shift of realizing that you actually are an engineer, and then they kind of try to make up for it. Oh, good for you. That's so great. Wow, I'm so surprised you're an engineer. Which is such a backhanded compliment because it means, what does that even mean? The main thing was not having many of my male counterparts treat me the same way. There are other male friends with me or my husband, and they get asked the same question and they don't receive the same reaction. It just makes me feel other. It makes me feel like I don't belong.
I'm stopping here because you will find that this is a fact. So these are the true stories. When women, they are working in the tech industry, they are perceived differently by society, and the studies are still going on, and it's very surprising that they feel like, as you have seen in the video, they feel like they are treated differently. They feel like they are someone who are different, who are others. So they feel like others. So this gender disparity, and some of the data I will show you of World Economic Forum 2020, and I will show you that data. But if you can see gender disparity, it's a long way to go. There is a significant gender gap globally. Only 22% are female, and there are more and more male AI professionals who are represented in senior roles. So that is another thing, that women, even if they are working in artificial intelligence, there are very few women who are basically at a senior role. And the data demonstrates very clearly that there is a persistent structural gender gap when it comes to the AI professionals. Now, why this happens? Where can we attribute these causes? There are some research shows there are few important things. One of them is role model, but I will come to that later. But the hypothesis which are there is like men are mathematically superior and more suited for STEM education and STEM education is basically all of us, we know, science, technology, engineering, maths, they are more suitable than women. Can we attribute the cause to the interest as well? Or it's just a biases? So these are the two things which are not yet clear. That is it because of the lack of interest, or from the beginning, we create this stereotype and that gradually inculcates in the interest of women. So that we are going to discuss later. Question comes that what are the boundaries here, which is restricting basically women? And you will find there are many boundaries. There is culture, there is tradition, there is society, there is married life, which is important, and balancing work and personal life. There's a very stereotypical image of women's ability, and of course, the last but not the least, I mean, support from the family and self-constraint. Because from the beginning, there's a stereotypical image. It raises a kind of constraint on my ability itself, and the women start feeling that probably they will not succeed in this field, and they will never be allowed to go and advance their career and take leadership positions. So these are some of the factors. Now, this is WEF report 2020, and this is eye-opening report. When the gender gap is going to be potentially closed. And you can find, this is 50 or 54 years in Western Europe, 59 years in Latin America. Forget about UAE and forget about the other countries. It says 140 years in the Middle East and North Africa. So the MENA region is 140 years it will take. But you can see other countries as well. So none of the countries in the world can actually boast around it that yes, there is no gender gap in the region. And this is a recent report which is there. So the data suggests that we really, really need to do something to avoid this, this gender gap, because my study says very clearly that if they are given equal opportunity, the consequences, the potential is inconsequential. If they are given equal opportunity, both of them, they can be productive, both genders, and they can be equally productive, and they can do very well. Now, going further, and this is the last slide, what I would like to suggest basically that, and this is some of the things which I can see based on my experience, that in the family itself, we start pigeonholing the careers. And then the second thing which we need to do is, so we should avoid that. Which we should do that is we need to attract and retain more women in STEM education. And we need to nurture a very growing mindset, a growth mindset which is required. I mean, you can see that female data scientists are substantially more obviously noted that they are not there, and we need to start fixing these things. I mean, having a role model, like female role models are crucially significant basically in indicating that young ladies and women, that they also can work in data science, and that that this career decision is a possibility for them, which is not happening in the family. This is a part of the more extensive work we have to do in getting more young girls like who are in their high school, to get them excited for coding and innovation at a very early stage, and urge them that, you know, to examine basically STEM subjects at their O-level, A-level, or their IB curriculum or CBSE curriculum, because we need, you know, supporting female STEM graduates to seek after careers in technology and in accomplishing more, to guarantee women that they are not leaving their professions prematurely with activities which is more focused towards their nature, like childcare, work-life balance. We need to take steps now. So I rather suggest, like, we need to take, like in the next 20 years, what we have to do is we need to have a very nurturing growth mindset with no stereotypes, and to bring to children more female role models, so that we can avoid any kind of stereotypes, and have more and more women in STEM education, leading to artificial intelligence. So with these words, I don't have anything else. I just have a very important quote to mention, that for all women, that we are our own masterpieces, and what we need to do is hold our brushes so that we can paint our own canvas of life. Thank you everyone for listening, and Dr. Sandeep Sharma, over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And let me tell you, this is something which is, this presentation has been wonderful. I mean, I must compliment, and I'm sure that all the participants in this session, they will agree with me that this was a highly relevant topic, and the way you have presented. My takeaways personally is the one, diversity, which we should definitely take care at our positions, and we should encourage I mean, all the genders to come forward, because opportunity has no biasness. I'm talking about opportunity. Opportunity has nothing to do with which gender is going to handle that particular activity. I think it is our intervention where we come as a gender in between, and we then shift it to a male or a female. So opportunity stays unbiased, but it's we should not do that, and diversity is the one. STEM, this is another second point which you said, we must encourage both genders, in fact, and specifically, as you said, that the female, they should be encouraged to take STEM forward, and we should encourage them to take science and technology, engineering, and mathematics as a career. Surprised to see that WEF slide, and I could see 163 years in East Asia. So this is not a healthy prediction. I mean, it should not. It should happen early, and they should have equal opportunities. And we should not take these many years to fill the gender gap. This is wonderful, ma'am. It's a very good presentation. We are very thankful to you for such a nice start to ICTBM 2020 on behalf of all the organizers. Participants, in case anybody wishes to ask some point or discuss something, you are most welcome. You can drop your questions and your inputs on the chat box also. That's another way. But I'm very sure, ma'am, all the participants of this session, they are thankful to you. On behalf of them, I say thank you very much, and we look forward to more insights from you in future as well during such conferences, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you, Dr. Agrawal. Thanks for inviting me. And once again, ICTBM is it's a part of our family, actually. It has been a long association with ICTBM, 12 years. It's a long time. And I once again wish the entire team an excellent, great success. So thank you very much once again for inviting me.
Thank you, ma'am. In general, what we do, we take a group photo with after the keynote address. I don't know how to fill that part, Dr. Agarwal, but I can request all the participants to come on screen. At least we can take one screenshot, and we may call it a e-group photograph. So another 1 minute, if ma'am.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, by the time ma'am stop sharing the screen, I will request all the participants, if they can come on screen, then probably we can take one screenshot, and probably we'll use it as a e-group photograph for the session of ICTBM 2020. Great. So 2 seconds more, and then I think we are good to go. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you. I have taken the screenshot. We'll share it with you. Thank you, Dr. Abhilasha, once again.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. And Dr. Agrawal, with your kind permission, I have another meeting. So if you allow me, I would like to leave.
No problem. Thank you very much for delivering the keynote. It was very, very nice of you. You're always helpful for CTBM.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.